Which race is going first?
We are going to start with, I want your opinion on the Mother Goose. We're going to have 3 races, but 2 really. We're just going to get a bonus analysis just from you, Chad, and John's input if he has any on the Mother Goose. Then we're going to go ahead and do the 49er, which is race 10 at Aqueduct after race 8, the Mother Goose. And then I guess you could say our top race is going to be the Fayette Hagyard.
Fayette Hagyard.
Fayette Hagyard. The Fayette Hagyard. Grade 2.
Chad, does Eric like Santa Anita? Does he like the surface?
Yeah, he loves it.
He does, really?
Yeah, we just need a scratch.
We'll get one or 2, even if I got to go kick someone in the knee.
Oh, I like that. All right. We're getting a little feisty here on the air. Last week, we continued our hot streak. We are now at a 7-for-7 run over the last several weeks. So hopefully you've been with us the whole time. We did get a new Patreon member. So that's good to know. Someone's on board, actually, by the name of Doug. So Doug became our newest Patreon member. $5 a month. That's all it is. What an investment for all these winning picks that we've been giving out here over the past several weeks. Again, 7-for-7. And it started last week at Gulfstream with Chad's bold prediction of Octane, who was 12-1 on the morning line, dropping to 5-1, but still coming through. Chad, that's like the second time in the last few weeks that you've picked a double-digit horse, and then at post time it went down to like 4-1 or 5-1. So they must have been.
Chad is like E.F. Hutton. When he talks, they listen.
There you go.
Unfortunately, the horses we're going to give out today none of them are double digits.
Well, still, a couple of weeks ago you gave up 2 favorites. They both won.
Yeah,
we're not gonna pick long shots just to pick them so they lose.
We got a big long shot play coming up in the Breeders' Cup.
Oh, that's next week, baby. Breeders' Cup. We got to figure out how we're gonna do that. So yeah, how's everything going out there?
Good.
How's training?
No, everything is good. The horses are starting to ship in. We arrived on Saturday night. We have Bill Mott's contingent of 6, including Cody's Wish and Elite Power, showed up last night. They hit the track today. The Japanese hit the track today. So
you're in the same barn as Mott?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we share the barn with Mott and Asmussen and Top Letcher and Brad Cox. Figure out which one of us doesn't belong.
Bill Mott.
I don't think so.
So that was that first race last week at Gulfstream. Octane getting, by the way, did pay $13.80 to win, and the $1 exacta was 19, so 38 on a $2 exacta, and that came through.
My horse were in third if you wanted to bet the try.
There you go.
Big price.
Ran a 6-, by the way, on the sheets.
Wow.
Octane.
Yeah.
6-.
That was a new top.
Wow, it was a new top by 4? Wow.
Something like that. He had 10.
Yeah. And then the Lexus Raven run, got that one too. That was a really good race there with Fava tracking down and beating what's the name?
Oh, that was my horse. Yeah, that was my horse. All right.
Alvastar. Alvastar was 4-5, I believe, right?
Meanwhile, we needed an apple picker there for my show wager, but she got beat a half length for third.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, couldn't do it all, but John hit the exacta in that one.
Woohoo!
But that was, of course, thanks to, well, hey, it is what it is. But a win's a win, and you never take, I don't care how little the payout is. That's
a short price is better than a long face. Some famous trainer once said that. All right, let's get to it.
So that was last week. Let's move all of last week's stuff away and get started. We're going to get first started at Aqueduct. You guys don't actually ever say Belmont at the Big A, do you?
No.
Didn't think so. Let's take a look just quickly at the Mother Goose, and this is going to go off at 3:48 approximately on Saturday. It's the 8th race. You got the 2 favorites there, the 5 and the 6, Occult and Zagara.
Yep.
What do you think about this race, John? You have an opinion yet?
Well, I really don't like the race. Listen, Zagara tried the dirt last time for the second time in her life, and she ran an unbelievable figure. If she runs anywhere near that race, school's out. But it's a big number if she doesn't react. But she's a short price, so I don't need her. I don't need the race. I'll watch the race en route.
Yeah, it came off with a 6. The previous best was, I believe, a 13, but only raced for the second time on dirt. Previous was a 17 last October. So the big B for the word bounce looks possible. Occult, meanwhile, is a pretty nice sheet line from 21 to 11. Nothing on the negative. Chad, what do you think about the race? Who do you like?
I mean, Zagara, she's been well meant from day one. I mean,
Why would they have her on the grass? Why was she on the grass all the time? What made them decide to finally wake up and switch?
Is that a black tie affair mare? I mean, she worked on the grass before she ever ran as a 2-year-old, and it was just kind of really, really super, goosebumpy. I mean, she's really, really special. She should have won first time out. She was much the best second time out. They tried her on the dirt in the Alcibiades, had a trouble trip that day as a 2-year-old. Ended up getting DQ'd up to 3rd. Something I missed. She was actually my pick in the juvenile Philly turf last year. Something went wrong that day, but since then she's just right as rain. Didn't like that soft turf at Saratoga. They put her back on the dirt. She can do anything. Phil Bauer trains privately for Rigney Racing. He might be the most underrated trainer in the country, I think. Doesn't get enough credit for what he does with the stock that he has. They pick the horses out themselves, they develop them, and they run them. And Zagara is probably the star of the outfit, but they have some nice horses. She toyed with running the Breeders' Cup in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and they said she's a 3-year-old. You got to ship to California. They decided to come here for the Mother Goose instead, looking ahead to her 4-year-old season. And look, she's the nut. She's the horse to beat. She's 6-5. She should back it at the window. I think she'll even go off at 4-5. Occult, yeah, you're right, Greg. She's gotten better. The Monmouth Oaks look like maybe a little bit of a stretch, an anomaly. She went wire to wire that day and won by 10, but she backed it up with a good third in the Cotillion, where kind of Doug O'Neill's horse made an easy lead and walked the dog around the track. And Pretty Mischievous was certainly a game second. So to run third behind those two, given the circumstances, wasn't the end of the world. I'll try and beat Occult for second, though. I do think Zagara is the horse to beat, but I'll take a little bit of a swing on the 3, Julia Shining.
There you go. See, John? Great minds think alike.
She was I didn't really understand coming back off the layoff, running in the Alabama, going a mile and a quarter for a filly. It seemed like he got away from her. I think Louis Ayers just kind of protected her and took care of her. She's shown glimpses in the past, last year especially, even this year a little bit. If you go back to the Ashland, where she kind of made a couple of moves, she has the ability. She's a talented filly. She catches a really nice horse in Zagara, who's just flat out better than her right now. I mean, she'd have to run a career top by many to catch Zagara, and I don't think she's ready for that second off the layoff, or really first off the layoff, because the Alabama was such a wash. But I think she can come closing and run second. I'll pick her second, but it's all Zagara for me.
Chad, who's she related to? Isn't she related to someone good?
She's Malafat's baby sister.
Oh, yeah. So she's supposed to be that good.
She's supposed to like the distance, which I guess is why they ran her a mile and a quarter off the layoff. But it's very, very tough. It's a big ask. Derma Sadagaki in the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to have a similar thing, not running since the Derby in May, coming back to the Breeders' Cup Classic, going a mile and a quarter. It's easier to do it on the grass than the dirt, but even then, I mean, we saw last year in the Breeders' Cup where Chad Brown tried to bring domestic spending back, and it didn't, and it worked lights out. Everybody loved him, and then he made it a quarter move. So it's just one of those things where it's a very difficult thing to do. I think this is a little bit more of a logical spot. And I look for her to improve, but it's really it's Zagara's world right now. She would be single digits in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, I think, John. I mean, I really do. The way that last race was.
If she runs the 6th,
yeah. So I mean, you take a little bit of a class relief here. It's another chance against straight 3-year-olds. I think it's Zagara's world.
Yeah, because on Julia Shining, the first 4 races, everything looked good. 16, 15, 12, 9. Then, like you said, the Alabama was a blowout bad.
I mean, they put her in the winner's circle when she broke her maiden at Keeneland first time out, and she was green as grass. And everyone said that she was the next Malathat and she couldn't lose the Oaks. So, things have gone kind of a little sideways for her, but good to see the team kind of sticking with her. Curlins get better with age anyway. Malathat, while she was brilliant at 2, got better as she got older. Hopefully this is the rebirth of the second half of Julie Strong's career.
Okay, so I want to remind everybody too that not only, of course, is Breeders' Cup week next week for our programming, but we are going to start programming on our new YouTube channel next week too. So that's the perfect opportunity, and we will.
Maybe we should do a live show on the Breeders' Cup preview. If we do it on like a Tuesday or something like that, early on
Nice.
in the week.
Well, we'll have everything by then.
Yeah, I mean, entries come out on Monday. The odds will be up on Monday. So,
but I have a Zoom at 7 o'clock, so it would have to be in the afternoon sometime.
That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Okay, yeah. So keep that in mind, everybody. That's paying. Again, the channel's not up yet, but I will put all of the information on Discord. So another reason why you want to get on Discord, and I'll also put it into the comment section on YouTube, of course, just to let everybody know what the channel name is, so you can check it out. And I will also make sure that we'll put in a tip and some videos on this channel to get you over to the new channel next week. So, but that's next week. Let's continue on at Aqueduct with race number 10. And this is the 49er grade 2. And it looks like it's a battle of the 3 horse favorites, the 2, the 3, and the 4. Ever So Mischievous, 5-2. What is it? Accretive?
Yeah.
Accretive, okay. The 3, the 2-1 shot, and Film Star, the 4, the 3-1 shot. So now, I don't know, can we find a bargain in this race? Ched tipped it off that maybe we won't, but how about the 6, John? Swift Shore? What do you think about Swift Shore as a bargain to get into the exacta?
Well, I think he's probably going to bounce off of that 8. I mean, he put in a big race. Not only that, when he ran the 8, speed was gold that day at Aqueduct, so it's kind of a little bit of a fake number. It was bias aided. I think I think the Cox horse is going to be very tough. The 2. The horse hasn't done anything wrong. The horse ran well at a mile when trying it for the first time. Stretches back out today. He's using Christian Torres. He used him last time on this horse. He keeps him aboard. I think he's going to be tough here. He's 5-2. He's not the favorite. The 3 is the favorite. I like the 2 better than the 3. I would use 2 with 3 and 5. I would use Dr. Ardito.
Oh, okay.
Price to get second. But I think the 2 is going to be tough.
I mean, the thing you have to like about Dr. Ardito, he is 5 for 6 with a second at Aqueduct. So, I mean, certainly a horse for a course angle. But you can also look at it that he went through his conditions while the competition was a little bit easier. He was bad last time. There's really no excuse in the Parks Mile. I'm going to go with John. I agree. I think Ever So Mischievous. He's a nice horse. We loved him first time out at Aqueduct. Ran into a buzzsaw that day in Toxic Ray, but came back. He broke his maiden on Kentucky Derby Day, on the last race on Kentucky Derby Day, beating a horse in Northern Invader who's come back and broke his maiden, won a stake race last time out for Cherie DeVoe. Comes in off back-to-back wins. Christian Torres, good young rider, up-and-coming rider. He won a grade 2 September 30th, his first grade 2. Hopefully he wins the second grade 2 here on October 28th. I'm going to go with Ever So Mischievous as well.
I believe he rode Clapton. Is that the same Torres?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, your volume is just a little low, John. I don't know if your volume is just a little low.
Hello.
Oh, that's better.
I hope if they're watching the show that Christian Torres can drop off some bagels for the win on Clapton when he comes in to ride at Aqueduct.
Oh, okay. We certainly hope so. So you, Dr. Ardito, that's the one bargain horse that you want to throw in there, John?
Yeah, I think he's going to go off longer than 6-1. He may be forgotten at the windows, even though it's Chad Brown. They have another Chad Brown. They have a Linda Rice. They got Brad Cox. They got plenty of ways to go. So hopefully he slips through the cracks. But I think the 2 is going to win.
The only other one I'll mention is the one horse Double Crown. He won this race last year somehow at a ridiculous price. He's got the right running style. He seems to enjoy this racetrack, having the big win over there last year. I just think if they go fast enough early, if Swiftsure tries to lead with Kendrick and then Aqueduct and Filmstar kind of challenge him early on a little bit there, it could maybe fall apart late, which would help, late run a Double Crown. And Jose Gomez is a kid who's going to ride hard for the money. So, maybe he can complete the Tri or Superfecta there at a price of Double Crown. But it's ever so mischievous world to me.
All right, John, your pick?
2 over 3.5. 2 exactors. 2 to 3.5.
And Chad? 2.
I'll go with the 2 with the 1.
What was that?
2 with 1 and 3.
2 with 1 and 3.
Okay.
2 with 1 and 3. Yeah, I'm gonna throw in the 6, so I'm gonna go 2-6.
All right, there you go.
All right, so that is Aqueduct. Now we're going to move on to a race that could end up, especially if we wind up hitting it, one of the better betting races of 2023. And that is the Fayette Hagyard Grade 2 Stakes race, the 1 1/8 at Keeneland. It'll go off about 5:16. You have 12 horses. There's not one heavy favorite, and you've got a whole bunch of bargains and potential long shots. So,
well, scratch the 1 Filmstar for starters. So now we're down to 11.
All right, Filmstar off the board. All right,
New York, we just did them.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through the field. Let's start with the 2 Happy American at 15 to 1 shot. This is a horse that has 22 starts. So that's it is what it is. It's only 5 for 22, not all that great, and 1 for 7 at this distance, not all that great at all. But taking a look at the sheets, in between a 15 and a 16 this year, you've had 8s and 9s, and in a lot of big races too. You are getting 15 to 1. Is there anything you like at all about Happy American, John?
Yeah, I like every race, but his last race. His previous 4 races after the last race, before the last race, were all good enough. This is a great betting race here.
Yeah.
There's so much value in this race. All I can tell you is whoever the favorites are, you're supposed to be playing against them. You're supposed to spread here. Unfortunately, it's a game time decision, so it's hard to give it out 2 days in advance. But I'm going to do something that I never do, and that's recommend a 4-horse exacta box because I think there's plenty of room here.
And Happy American's going to be a part of that.
Yes, he is.
All right. What do you think about Happy American, Chad?
Look, he got some time off after the Stephen Foster. They gave him 45 days off on the farm. Came back. He might have been a little heavy for that last race. He might have been a little bit kind of unfit. Neil Pessin does a great job. He's a really, really great trainer. But maybe just was a tad underprepared because now, granted, they were going fast early on in that race. But, I mean, he was distanced. He was 21 lengths out of it after a half mile. I mean, he was way out the back door. I think he'll run with an improved run here. I like the 15 to 1 price. Keeneland does not fit his running style. It's a short stretch. They're not going to go fast enough early on in this race like they did last time in the Lucas Classic where he still had to settle for 5th place. It's a good prep race for him. I look for him to be tough in the Tenacious Stakes at Fairgrounds in December at a racetrack that he loves in Fairgrounds, going to mile 16th, which is his best distance. He'll run an improved race. So I don't see him as 1-2 in this race just because I think he'll improve, but I don't think he's there yet.
All right. I like
look who beat him last time.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeedy. I like 3 long shots in this race, but I do not like King Fury, the 20 to 1 shot. 13, 13, and 10 this year. John?
No, he's a little slower. He's like other horses in the race, but you have longer priced horses, that have a better chance, I think.
Yep.
King Fury's claim to fame is that his namesake, Tyson Fury, was actually going to fly in from England and make the walk for him in the Kentucky Derby. Unfortunately, he got a fever 2 days before the race, and it's been all downhill for King Fury ever since.
Wow. All right.
He is in the November sale, though. So for anybody watching along, he is in the Keeneland November sale if anybody's interested, or phase it different one. But he is available for sale after this race, possibly.
Okay. The 4 is Giant Game, an 8 to 1 shot, and Giant Game, boy, somebody threw a few bucks Giant Game's way. Rosario on board, it looks like for the first time. Ran a couple of 8s this year and a 7, but the last 2 races are 13s, John.
Yeah, and they were without Lasix, and he's not going to be on Lasix again Saturday. So obviously, I think he needs Lasix, and I think he's off form.
I think he runs a giant race in this race, pun intended.
Oh.
I'm not a huge fan of this horse, but I'll tell you what, he's one of the last ever Giants Causeways. I think there was three horses born that year, 2 colts and a filly. He ran really, really well in the Cornhusker in victory. He was not pointing for the Whitney, and when they lost a couple of horses, they scrambled to get a 5-horse field in that race. And that's when we look ahead to the Breeders' Cup Classic, when everybody wants to pick White Barrio on top. This is why White Barrio, based on his number, he ran a 4 on the sheets. He got 115 buyer. Everybody loves White Barrio. The Whitney was awful. Cody's Wish didn't want to go that far, and nobody else was in the race. They hustled 2 horses, including Giants Game, to come into this race. He wasn't pointing for the race. He wasn't prepping for the race. He was just an add-on, and he led them early on, going 48-1, 111-4, and just got tired because he wasn't pointing for this race. They ran back in Charlestown around 3 turns, which probably isn't his game, and he struggled there. I like the fact that they freshened him up. They skipped the Lucas Classic, where he was thinking about running the Lucas Classic, to stay fresh for this race on a track that plays towards speed. This has got Giant Game's name written all over it. If he's going to win another race, this is the race he wins. I prefer one horse over him, but I think Giant Game runs a huge, huge race here on Saturday.
All right. There you go. That's a good start. The 5 is Twilight Blue, and this is one of the long shots I'm going to throw in there. Brian Hernandez on board. Obviously, what sticks out is the 7 that he ran last time out. He hadn't raced since August of last year, so with almost a year off, comes back and runs a 7. Last year, did have a 6 and an 8 and a 9, so that's pretty good at 15-1, John.
Listen, this is number 2 in my 4-horse box. I'm using this horse. I know he's bouncing, but he's 15-1. So at 15-1, I'm using him.
He's a cool horse, but I'm with John. I think he bounces here. The barn struggled a little bit, although they do have 5 seconds, just 1 for 16 at the meet. He's bred top and bottom for the turf. I don't know why they tried him one time on the turf and he was awful. He got a 24 buyer, but he's okay. This is a deeper, stronger field than what he's been facing. Even though Dash Attack and King Fury were in the last race, I prefer others in this race. That's all.
Okay. Speed Bias is next, and this is another long shot I'll throw in there. Taking a look at his sheet numbers, all this year have been between 8 and 12, and the 12 was actually the only time he was outside of 10. So you have 8, you got 10s, you got 9s mostly. 1 for 1 at Keeneland, so that's good. Again, you're getting 20-1. This is just one of those long shot plays that the sheets say, why not?
This is horse number 3 in my box.
Hey!
Correct. Listen, they're all prices. All I need is him to show up, and I'll make plenty of money.
I wish I knew if Ricardo Santana has worked this horse or not before. He used to ride him for Brad Cox last year. Had a win, broke his maiden on him, actually, impressively. He's okay, this horse. I think he needs to have the right trip, and I like the fact that he's outside of Giant Game and Twilight Moon, because I'd like him to sit kind of the same trip he sat last time. Because if he tries to make the lead, he's going to be toast. He's not going to be able to do it. But he's able to sit. If he's able to sit off of it with Ricardo, and Ricardo kind of scrubs hard and finishes down the lane, I do think he has a little bit of a shot at a big price. But he needs to sit the right trip here and not be so dependent on his speed for Speed Bias.
Next up is the 7, Il Miracolo, a 3-year-old, which is nice. Really, I don't see anything. You don't see anything on the sheets with this horse until the last 3 races. 9, 10, 9. Saez on board 2 of those. He's back on board here at 6-1. So, this is one of the contenders that looks pretty interesting, John.
This is number 4 in my box.
There you go.
You got it. 2, 5, 6, 7 exacta box, and wait.
I will book that. That won't come in. I'll book that.
Oh,
wow!
We have a wager.
For all day. Okay.
What about the 7, Chad?
This horse is so confusing to me. First of all, if you guys want to laugh, anyone who's a visual handicapper, go back and watch the Smarty Jones, because I have no idea what he did at the top of the stretch. If anybody other than Luis Saez rides this horse, there's no way he wins or more or less finishes the race. He ended up in the parking lot. He just made a right-hand turn in the straightaway. was able to still win by a widening margin of 3 lengths. He didn't run bad in the Pennsylvania Derby. I think missed Luis Saez. Obviously, Louis was hurt, wasn't cleared to ride, so he rode Michael Sanchez. The thing that doesn't make sense to me about this race and about this horse is Antonio Sano loves the spotlight. He loves the big races. He loves the Breeders' Cup. And this horse was going to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile as of 2 weeks ago. And they kind of pivoted, didn't go to the Breeders' Cup, and end up here. And I don't like when you make changes like that for no particular region in general. It's not like it's in his backyard. He still had a ship to Kentucky from Florida. I'm just going to take a swing against. I might be wrong. I might eat my words on this one. He's shown glimpses of improvement as he takes on older horses for the first time. But to me, I don't know. I don't know why they shied away from the Breeders' Cup to run here instead. It was an interesting move. I wish I knew a little bit more about why. I just don't right now.
Maybe they didn't want to put up 140.
No, it's the Dirt Mile. It's $60,000, which is still a lot of money. But I mean, the horse obviously he's made $350,000 this year. It's an interesting situation. It's an interesting situation. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're tough here on vet checks, and obviously the horse made a right-hand turn in the Smarty Jones for a reason. That might be the only thing that I can possibly think of. Maybe a little bit of an easier, not as many eyes on you in Kentucky. So maybe for that reason you include him on your tickets. I think he'll end up getting played. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes off as the second choice here, John. No.
Well, yeah, if you're using him, you got to use him with long-priced horses. Yeah? That's what I did. What happened? We don't hear you, Greg. You
My mistake. So the next horse is Law Professor, the 8 horse, and we've talked about Law Professor quite a bit on this show. So it seems like every time he starts,
we run a lot of races that we do. I guess.
He was in the Breeders' Cup last year. Ran an 8 in that race. Ran a 6 at the Woodward last year. This year, though, we do have 2 8s, but we also have 2 10s and a 13. John.
I think he's starting to tail off. Actress Barn was dead for a long time. It woke up the last week or so. I don't particularly like Actress as a shipping trainer. He doesn't ship often, and he doesn't win shipping often.
Well, he thinks this horse is a terrible shipper. I don't know why this horse doesn't run on the 49 or why he runs here instead. It's a very odd move. Something tells me this horse might scratch. I don't know.
He should have entered him in both of them. I don't get it.
Yeah, but he's a terrible shipper, and his last work on October 20th was at Belmont. So I'm not really 100% sold as to what's going on.
He's running.
When he ran at Pimlico on the Pimlico Special, they said he didn't ship well, he didn't handle anything well. Same thing when he was at Oaklawn in the Razorback. It's just one of those things. So I'm against this horse because of the ship. I do think he's a nice horse.
He is he's owned by Steve Davis and Twin Creeks, who owns the Sheets. So,
if he runs, and you see him in the paddock and he's cool, calm, and collected, then you can use him in your tickets because he has just about as much ability as anybody else in this field. His best races, he's probably better than anybody else in this field.
He definitely has races that win.
So you do have to take a look at him. To me, it's just one of those things where you just it's tough to completely trust him right now.
The 9 is O'Connor. Now Gaffleone is going to be on board. Looks like for the first time. Comes out from Chile in October of last year and runs a 5. We haven't gotten that 5 yet since then. So one of those deals, first time, boom, 5. We have had a couple of 8s, very consistent. If you throw out the 17 in January, everything's between the 5 and an 11. But the horse is 5-1. But still, you have to take this horse seriously with Safi Joseph and Gaffleone combo there, John.
Yeah, but you said the key. He's 5-1. He's no better than 6 other horses in the race, and now him and the 10, they're short prices, and they're not better, and they're outposted. So I don't need either one of them. Maybe I'm wrong.
If this horse wins, he wins because Tyler Gaffleone's the best jockey in the country right now in riding in career form. Tyler's going to have to give this horse a great ride. Now, he showed speed in the past. He was close, but ever since he went to Mountaineer and Charlestown and Aqueduct, he wants to drop out the back door and make this one move. if Tyler can get him a little bit more engaged earlier on in the race and not get him hung 6 wide into the first turn and be laying 4th or 5th early on, he's got a shot. But if he wants to be last, again, the same thing like we talked about before with that horse Happy American, he's going to have too much to do. So this is very much going to be a jockey's race here for the hot riding Tyler Gaffalione as he tries to catch Luis Saez on closing day.
Next up is the 10 Trademark, a 9-2 shot, one of the lowest odds on board here on this race. Shows you what we're talking about. Now, this horse, Sheets, pretty similar to some of the others. We've got a 7 and an 8 this year, which is strong. But since then, the last two, just 11 and 10, John.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. That's why I don't need him at 9-2. If he was 10-1, fine. He would make my box, but he's not 10-1 and he's outposted.
The Lucas Classic was 1,000% given the wrong number from the sheets. I'm going to back it up with authority, saying that Trademark will not lose this race on Saturday, and Clapton will be right there the following Saturday. It was a terrible number given in the Lucas Classic. The Thoroughgraph gave it a -1. So I don't know. I mean, it's a large variable difference between the Lucas Classic and the way that the sheets gave it compared to buyers who gave it a 99 buyer, and Thoroughgraph gave it a -1. So they're on the vine saying that it was a bad race, and I'm going to go on the vine saying it was a bad race. Obviously, I'm partial in it. If you watch the race, Trademark had a dream trip. He worked every bit of it, and we had to work harder to beat him. But he ran the best race of his career. He's hinted at this last year. He got good at this time last year before tailing off and running a couple of bad races. I think he's a horse on the rise, and I look for Trademark to win this race convincingly.
Wow!
Over Giant Game. I think that he's better than he's getting credit for. He shouldn't be 9-2 in this race. He should be 5-2 in this race, and I will take every bit of the 9-2 because I think this horse cannot lose the Fayette.
Wow! Interesting.
We'll
Between
find
Giant Game
and when he runs and wins the Fayette, I'm going to be curious to see if they change the sheet number. Like Beyer always likes to hide behind and change his buyers four races later.
Well, that's not fair. That doesn't sound right.
We do that very rarely, and if he ever does it, he moves it a point.
This horse did not run an 11, and we did not run a 10-. But
okay.
I'm saving my money for this race. I'm hearing him. All right, the 11 is Dash Attack, an 8-1 shot. Now, Dash Attack is coming off a 7, and if you look at it, the last 3 races: 15, 10, 7, 5-point top in August when he finished 3rd, and then a 3-point top in his last race when he won the race wire to wire at Churchill Downs. Velazquez on board, never won at this distance and never won at Keeneland, John.
And he's coming off of Lasix, and he's off of a 7. He's bouncing. He has no shot, I don't think.
This is what he does. Every time this horse runs a big race, you can't find him with a search warrant his next 1 or 2 starts afterwards. Yep. I mean, he runs these big races, but he never, ever backs it up. And he's not fast enough to make the lead here over a stablemate. So, look, if you're going to have somebody come off the pace, and sit the trip that he needs to sit, I don't mind John Velazquez, the Hall of Famer in the irons, but he's got to have a lot of work to do here. So I'm going to pass on Dash Attack.
All right, and this is going to be my top choice. I'm going to go with Best Actor with Cox and Pratt combo. I'm getting 10-1. I'm sure it won't be 10-1, knowing the bettors and Pratt and Cox combo. But look, again, we're looking at the sheet lines, and if you throw out the 16, which was in September, the horse has never really had a bad race on the sheets. They've all been between 8 and 12. The 8 was the last time out, and that was the wire-to-wire win. He's almost gone wire-to-wire twice, including the Grade 3 win at Parks last August. So, yeah, I mean, Pratt went on board with him wire-to-wire last time out, ran the 8. He's going right back to him, and that's why with that combo at 10-1, Best Actor will be my top shot. John?
I don't like him. I mean, he's off the top. I think he's reacting. I love Cox. He's a great trainer and everything else. You'll never, ever, ever see 10-1.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm handicapping on the assumption he'll be 4-1 or 5-1. I don't think he's 10-1.
He was good last time, man. He was good. He got the perfect race.
He was very good.
You know, the thing that Brad Cox does as well as any other trainer in the country is because he has strings in so many different places, he's able to move his horses around like chess pieces. And a horse like Best Actor coming out of the RA Cowboy Jones Stakes at Ellis is able to come to Belmont, train for a couple of days, settle in, relax, just be a part of the string and Brad Cox's string at Belmont, and go over Aqueduct and do his thing in the perfect 3-event allowance race, which you don't get to see too often. It was a really, really good placement, really smart idea. Got his confidence up. That being said, I'm against him here just because I think he's not as good as some of the others in this race. But I think he can. I think he can run third or fourth. No reason why he can't. I just think that Trademark's a better horse than he is right now. Just plain and simple.
All right, there you go, John. We know what your pick is already, but just give it again.
4-horse exacta box 2, 5, 6, 7. 2, 5, 6, 7.
Who do you like the most?
I like them evenly. I like the longest one. If I had to pick one horse with a gun to my head, it would be the 6 Speed Bias.
Okay.
Hey,
like 2, 5, 6, 7.
You know when they say if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
If you like 4 horses equally, you know what that means? Trademark can't lose.
Okay.
It's all Trademark for me. Number 10.
Chad, you going with the 10 over the 4?
I'll go the 10 over the 4, 4, 7, and 12.
You said 4, 7?
4, 7, and 12. But
4, 7, and 12. Okay.
It's all Trademark for me. I'd make a health if he's going to be 9-2. I'd make a healthy win place wager on him because he shouldn't be 9-2. It's disrespectful. But we're used to it, and we'll see what happens on Saturday.
Everybody here, or everyone is listening. We sincerely all hope you're right. Except maybe
All
John.
right, guys. So we'll touch base, I guess.
Keep in mind we are, as Chad said, we maybe we'll do the live show is maybe the easy part. Just figuring out when that's maybe the hard part, but hopefully we'll have a live show next week. And again, we'll be on the new channel. I'll leave as much info as I can on Discord and here on YouTube to let you know where to go. And Chad, you have any horses running out there?
Clapton, hopefully.
I know, but anyone else besides Clapton?
Not right now.
No. Okay.
We're just we're playing the waiting game. You know, we messed up. We should have entered in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Maybe we'd had a shot because the Breeders' Cup panel decides to put horses in races that have never tried surfaces before. So maybe we should have just tried to run in the Breeders' Cup Turf or maybe the Juvenile Filly. I don't know. But we're just waiting. We'll see what happens.
All right, guys. Appreciate it as always. Talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys. Chad, I'll talk to you. Be well.
Yeah.
All right. So as John and Chad say goodbye, I'm going to wrap this up, going over our picks again on the show. And I also do want to thank Rockface. Matter of fact, Rockface had a very nice thing to say to Chad as well. He said, "Great tipping, Chad. I had a bid on due to the confidence you portrayed on Octave. Also, congrats on having a shot in the Classic. If you get Clapton in the field, you deserve everything that you get in this game. A true gent and knowledgeable horseman with reading the bloodstock business and individual races come race day. Best in the game." Now we're going to talk a little bit about. I'm going to talk with Chad about what you said in the other comment regarding the filly and mare stakes. So, because we did, and we continue to let you guys know that if there are any races that you want us to handicap on next week's show, and we are going to have 2 shows, so we'll record in one day. Well, again, that's going to be the thing with the live show, but we'll try to figure this out, because if we do the live show might, I wouldn't say screw things up, but what we'll do is we still could do a live show and record the other show, and that will give us the opportunity to handle races from Friday and Saturday. So we'll figure it all out. But you know, the goal is to get minimum 4 races, 2 for Friday and 2 for Saturday, and anything else. But bottom line is, if you guys have any races that you want us to handicap besides the obvious ones, let us know, and we'll see what we can do for you. At the very least, give you some picks. Also want to thank Rockface for his comment about my hosting job. The way you mention as many horses as possible in the races, and to get Chad and John's opinion on each horse, you mentioned narrowing down the field. So I appreciate that, Rock. Being a host of a show is not always so simple. And I have a lot of fun with these guys. And so, yeah, but you guys are the viewers, which make it work. We don't do it without you. And that's why it's very important to try to get as much information as I can out of both of them, as well as the sheets. Okay, so let's wrap it up with the picks from today. Chad talked about going with Zagara, the 6-5 shot at this point in the Mother Goose. And you might be wondering why I said what I said when Chad mentioned Julia Shining, because we were off the air, John and I, we were going, he was going over the race, and I asked him, I said, well, what about Julia Shining? I think this is a horse that might be the best bargain. Anyway, and then Chad said what he said. So yeah, I think maybe that's the way to go. That's the way I would go. Zagara and Julia Shining. All right. Now, as far as the second race at Aqueduct, that was race 10, the 49er, the grade 2. And John went 2 over 3-5. So John went with Averso Mischievous. Matter of fact, we all went with the 2. Averso Mischievous. And if you look, there's the 3 favorites. You got the 2, the 3, and the 4. The fact is, the 4 at 3-1 has never had a race better than, let's see, he had, just taking a look at, matter of fact, he's had 10 races this year. Wow, a lot of races out of the 15 lifetime. But he did have a 6 way back in April. And then he was claimed by the new tandem. And the best he's had since then is an 8. But the fact is, after the 6th April at Keeneland earlier this year, he did not get back to single digits until he ran an 8 in September at Saratoga. So, I don't know. That's a lot to ask for at 3-1. That's why the 3, who's the favorite right now, did run 2 7s to start his career, which is incredible. I mean, that's great. 7-7. But haven't seen even an 8. We saw a 9 last time, but since the 2 7s, we've seen 10-12, 10-9. The 2, though, this horse is now hitting stride the way you want. 9-12-10 to begin his career, but the last 2, 8-8. So that's why it does make more sense to go with the 2. I mean, that's my reason. But we're all going with the 2. John's going to go with the 3 and 5. So his bargain is going to be the 5 Dr. Ardito, the 6-1 shot that ran a couple of 9s earlier this year. 5 out of 6, 5 wins out of 6 at Aqueduct, 5 out of 7 at this distance. So, and Chad Brown. So there you go, 6-1. That makes a lot of sense. Chad, meanwhile, is going with the 1 and the 3. Double Crown is a 12-1 shot, and the 3 is one of the other favorites. I'm going to go with the 6. And I'll tell you what, I'm probably also going to throw in John's 5. I'll do that right now. So I'm going to do 2 over 5, 6. So yeah, wait, is that the one I was? No, wait a second. That wasn't the one I was thinking about, was it? Oh, you know what? I think that was on the other one. I don't know. I'm confusing myself now. Did I want the 5 for Dr. Ardito? Yeah, I do. I want the 5. All right, so I'm going to go 2-5-6. John went 2-3-5, and Chad went 2 over 1 and 3. Now, let's wrap up with the Keeneland race, which I said in the very beginning when we were doing this, might be the best betting race of 2023. John probably didn't hear that I said that, because a few minutes later, he said the same thing. He basically said a very good betting race. And this definitely is. I mean, you hardly ever see races where, I mean, I believe the favorite is Chad's trademark, the 9-2 horse. I believe that's the favorite, 9-2. And you have 11 horses with the 1 scratching. Wow. So, in that case, now the hard part is you got to, of course, hit it. But Chad's going to go with the 10, trademark over 4-7-12. John's going to go with the 2-5-6-7 exacta box. And I'm going to go with the 12 best actor over the 5 and the 10. And you could be sure, though, that I will also add in the 4 who Chad spoke very highly of. I'll probably just bet exactly what Chad did, to tell you the truth, and what I did. Sorry, John. But, well, the fact is, John and I liked all the horses together. The only horse I did not put in that John did was the 2, Happy American. So that is going to wrap it up. I'm going to do my best to inform you guys, but this is why Discord is the best and easiest way for me to converse with you guys for these types of exact reasons. So again, next week, new YouTube channel, and then we're going to try to go live as well. So we're going to keep you posted on all of that as best I can on Discord and YouTube and Patreon. So between the 3, I'll send out a message to all the Patreon members. I'll do what I can on YouTube and definitely Discord to let you know exactly when we know we are going to do the show. And look, the deal too is, see, it's hard for you guys to subscribe to the channel because we haven't put it on yet. But I'll figure something out if I can, other than just Discord and page. I'm gonna try to do something on YouTube, because we are opening a lot more than new channels, just horse racing. So maybe I'll put together a video just for this channel that will go out to all the subscribers, like attention, new channel, something to get your attention, and then put in the link to all the different channels that we are starting, including, of course, for horse racing. So best of luck on Saturday, everybody. And we'll talk to you Breeders' Cup week next week. It's going to be a big one.